Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the No Name Podcast. It is your boy, Young Rich, back again with another episode today. Obviously, the NBA playoffs is continuing to go on. So today, we're going to give our early NBA playoff reactions. Obviously, most of these series are already 2 games in, other than Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Pelicans, who played tonight alongside with the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. So we will dive in deep to that. And also today with the NFL draft coming up tomorrow, we will be discussing the NFL draft, final mock drafts, things that we've heard from other shows and other analysts going up and leading out throughout today. So today's going to be interesting. I mean, tomorrow's a very, very big day, not only for the NBA. I mean, you have the playoffs going on. You have the NFL draft. I mean, I'm going to be watching the first round of the draft, and I'll be watching the Lakers play later that night. So it's going to be a great evening. I think they play tomorrow. They should play tomorrow, right? It's 2 days. Maybe it might be 3. But either way, it's going to be a busy day tomorrow. So I couldn't be more excited. Obviously, this means a lot for a lot of teams. So we will get into that later in today's episode. But to start it off, obviously, first things first, before I get into anything, I want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I mean, we hit 1,000 subs smoothly. I mean, going into about month 6? I mean, that's pretty good for me. If you ask me, again, because I never thought I was even going to hit 1,000 more or even 3,000 views on a video, which is absolutely insane. I've getting a lot of great feedback from that. Obviously, that video blew up. Not blew up, but to my terms, blew up, So it's great to see that. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited. It's been a blessing so far, and I want to continue to put out the best content possible. Continue to grow from here on out, increase my setup, increase. I'm blanking here on the word I'm trying to use here, but continue to push and be better going forward, bust out some more quality content. Again, I do have a second channel for the more casual fans who don't want to sit through a hour-long podcast. So go check that out. Link will be in the description below. Young Rich Talk Sports. Very simple. I got 1 episode on there currently. Make sure to go keep showing love on everything again. And with that being said, first topic of discussion for today. I mean, listen, my Los Angeles Lakers going down 2-0 to the defending NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. And listen, I mean, this one hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a very dedicated, hardcore Los Angeles Lakers fan. I'm a dedicated sports fan from my Raiders, from my USC football Trojans. The Oakland A's, I am a diehard fan when it comes to the teams I support. So watching us blow a 20-point lead last night was the worst possible thing I thought could have happened to us. And to end it off, to end the bad day, the blown 20-point lead, it's a Jamal Murray step back mid-range dagger and game winner and puts us down 2-0 in a very, very big hole. And then obviously, listen, you look at the numbers. I mean, you just look, because it's like, obviously, that's the game we have to win. We have to close out that game to give us a chance. And I'm not saying the series is over by any means. It's a 7-game series for a reason, but that was the one we needed. I mean, the way we dominated that game. I mean, you had AD 34 points last night. I mean, he was dominating. I think ended up with 10 rebounds. AD 32 and 11 last night, dominated. You had D'Lo. You had a bounce back game from D'Lo. D'Lo hit 7 threes last night with 6 assists. He played phenomenal last night. As a team, we shot 43% from 3 last night, and that is something that we do not do sometimes. And that was great that we had it. LeBron James, 26, 8 and 12, and I know everybody wants to criticize LeBron for the game-winning shot he could have possibly had, KCP fell down. He had a wide open look for a 3. But listen, he's 40 years old. He's about to be 40 years old. So I'm not going to knock him for missing a shot like that, because at the end of the day, he is the one who took it, right? He's older, and I would like to see, I'm not going to say somebody else take that shot, but not us not be in that situation, because I don't want to have to rely on a 40-year-old LeBron to come out here and save us and put us on his shoulders. I would like the team definitely needs to step up and help, and we played them great. I mean, listen, Denver last night, was 23% shooting from 3 last night. I mean, Jokic, 27 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. I mean, this guy played phenomenal. Jamal Murray, again, somebody who we kept very quiet. Austin Reeves was doing a solid job defensively up until the last 2 minutes of the game where we had to throw LeBron and AD on the two best players. So when that pick and roll, Jamal Murray and Jokic pick and roll came, we had our two best defenders there, and that's what we tried to do. I mean, and when Jamal Murray hits a shot like that against Anthony Davis, what do you want me to do? We have somebody who we all regard as a defensive player of the year, one of the best defenders in the NBA, out there guarding one of the second best player on their team, size advantage. His handle is in his face. He forced him to take a tough shot. Like, what else do you possibly want us to do? And I understand, don't put ourselves in that situation. I'm 100% with you. But I mean, in a situation like that, obviously, I was heartbroken because I know how important it was to win that game, to not go down 2-0 headed back to LA, right? So it's frustrating for us. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. as well, 6 threes yesterday. Basically was the only guy shooting from 3 yesterday. But again, I mean, this one's tough, man. This one hurts because we had it and we let it slip away. And it's one of those games we're going to look back on and wish we had. Whether this series goes 6, 7, whatever, it's going to be a game we wish we had. And now we're putting ourselves in a situation where we have to win 4 straight to win in 6. To where that way we don't have to play Denver back at home at 7. For game 7, and that's a tough position going back to game 7 and having to win in Denver, and you've seen us struggle already, and every time someone makes a key stop, they make a crucial bucket, the fans start going, and then you start to see our spirits start to lower, and it was just a tough situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, that is the best team in basketball in a lot of people's eyes. I mean, that is the team to beat. I mean, I don't know what to do in that situation. Nikola Jokic did what he did. He's going to do what he does. I mean, AD outperformed him in a sense, 32 and 11. It's just a tough situation. It's a tough team to play, and when you're playing a team like that, you need to just close out games, and we had an opportunity to, and we couldn't get it done. So now we put ourselves in a tough situation going home. So now what am I looking for? Obviously, without a second doubt, you've got to win both at home. I mean, you cannot go down 3-0, 3-1, whatever. You cannot. I mean, it's just statistically is not supporting you and putting yourself in a good situation. So now we have to sit here and play damn near perfect basketball for the rest of the series, specifically for the next 2 games. We play great at home again, so this is going to be a bang-out matchup. I mean, I'm just praying we don't go on a sweep, because if we get swept by the Denver Nuggets again, I don't know what I'm going to do myself. I'm going to lose it. I mean, because we've had some chances, man, against this team, and it just has not gone our way, and that goes to credit the show. I mean, that's a damn good basketball team, I mean, those are defending champions. Nikola Jokic, 2-time MVP, possibly in a third. Jamal Murray, freaking phenomenal playoff performer. Michael Porter Jr., Sharp. I mean, they've got a great team, and it just sucks that it did not, end up in a Lakers win last night, and I know a lot of people are going to put a lot of hate on LeBron. I already seen it. Skip Bayless is out there talking about LeBron's fourth quarter woes, and listen, LeBron James is 40 years old, all right? Nobody should be relying on LeBron James to close out games for you at this point in his career. I know he still tries to do it, but nobody should rely on LeBron James. He gave you a lot throughout the regular season. He still gives you great basketball. I mean, 26, 8, and 12, and I'm not here to I'm not on that GOAT debate. Like, I'm not trying to defend him because he's my GOAT or any of that stuff, but he's 40 years old at the end of the day. Somebody else got to come out and hit a tough shot and help close things out. And we just couldn't get it done yesterday. Very similar to how we played Denver last year in the Western Conference Finals. So obviously we got to play some great basketball going forward. So I'm optimistic going into Game 3 for tomorrow night in LA. But the second series, obviously, listen, this one's got to be the most. It's got to be one of the most talked about series other than the Lakers and Denver, right? But Minnesota going up 2-0 versus the Phoenix Suns. Listen, and I've been saying this. A lot of people have been saying this. We understand the Phoenix gave up a lot to bring in Bradley Beal. They gave up some depth. Having KD and Devin Booker can work to a sense if they're both performing like KD and Devin Booker. KD has had a great little playoff run, right? His morale does not look like he's there. He looks flustered. He looks uncomfortable. I mean, they just look defeated in a sense, and I don't know if it's because they are playing on the road. Minnesota's a great home team. Minnesota defensively is just locking down, tiring him down, wearing him out because he is older in age, right? But when you have Devin Booker, I mean, Bradley Beal's been solid. He hasn't been terrific, phenomenal, or anything. He's been a solid piece, right? Playing alongside everybody. Grayson Allen, a guy that they have not let him get going. They have not let him hit big shots, which, I mean, shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've been playing great defense. They've been strapping stuff down. I mean, listen, 2 for 2 betting with Minnesota against Phoenix. I mean, 2 times at the spread. Easy, sweat-free bets. I mean, this has just been an easy series to bet on. A very dominant series for Minnesota. Defensively, what they are doing to this team is just beautiful. I mean, I love to see defensive-minded teams come out here and perform, and it's exactly what they did. And then you have Anthony Edwards performing like he is, taking a step into that superstar caliber player, the number one option on his team. And then you have Cat. Shoot, remember, a 50, 40, 90 guy, damn near, right? And he's out there doing what he does. I would like to see Cat again. I know he does this a handful of times, but stay out of foul trouble, Cat. You're too valuable to this team. Stay out of foul trouble, all right? I know you all got it done, even though with you in foul trouble and you didn't play as much minutes as you like, but stay out of foul trouble, please. I know you're trying to show your effort on the defensive end, but there's a lot of help around you, all right? So just please stay out of foul trouble because you are too crucial to this team. The way you could shoot the ball and spread the floor. Again, the Rudy Gobert playing great basketball, But, I mean, and listen, big shout out to Jaden McDaniels. 25 points in Game 2 last night was a huge reason why they coasted to this victory last night. And I know a lot of people were talking about his offensive bag. They wanted to see him develop as an offensive player. We know he's an elite perimeter defender. We know he's an elite defender. He needed to step up on the offensive side of things, and 25-point game. I mean, you closed out this game single-handedly, and it was great to watch. It was beautiful basketball, good ball movement. Mike Conley was stepping up, making some shots. It was just a great team win overall, and this Minnesota team just looks legit, right? I mean, going up 2-0, we know the statistics when you go up 2-0 of winning the series, right? Now you got to go to Phoenix and go on the road, and you only got to win one of the next 2, and I like their chances of getting one in the next 2, I see this series being done in 5. Really, if they win one of the next 2 series, one of the next 2 games, I mean, this is going to be scary. You're going to see Minnesota back at home with a 3-1 lead, possibly, And if I'm going back to Minnesota with a 3-1 lead, I'm feeling very, very confident in closing out this series. But I mean, this team has finally meshed well and is finally what we want to see. Rudy Gobert being the defensive presence that he needs to be. Cat being the spacing, the team, the chemistry developing. Anthony Edwards taking on that number 1 role, that number 1 man, and he's still showing effort on the defensive side of things. I mean, this has just been. The NBA playoffs has been great. I mean, it's met expectations. It's been beautiful basketball in basically every series I've watched, for most part in every game. So I couldn't ask for anything better. I love competitive sports, competitive basketball. I love the playoffs, postseason to be as competitive as possible because that's when everything is best, And I also love people getting into it, Bradley Beal and Anthony Edwards getting into it, Devin Booker and Jaden McDaniels getting into it. It just builds up the energy, the beef, the trash talk that we don't really see anymore. And it's great for the sport. I love when teams are going out there, coming for each other's necks, creating storylines, creating this drama, creating this energy inside a game, a little bit of a rivalry, and I couldn't be happier for it because it's great. And it's great to watch at the end of the day. You love 2 teams coming for each other's necks, talking trash to each other, coming down the court. They get a big bucket, and then next thing you know, they John in your mouth. It says great energy. It's a great playoff atmosphere, and I couldn't be happier so far. And this team has been dominating, a team that we've seen them get first round exited for the past 3 years, So this is definitely a huge step in the right direction, and I would like to see them close out the series here and, and just advance as soon as possible. Don't let KD and Devin Booker get going. Devin Booker, again, I mean, has had a very, very terrible series so far. Through 2 games, Devin Booker, 19 points per game, 37% field goal percentage, 25% three-point percentage, And I heard Kenny Beecham talk about it, is what defensively have they changed to make them be this dominant on defense, right? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're just taking on their one-on-one matchups against KD and Devin Booker. You got two great defenders. I mean, in Jaden McDaniels, and you also have Anthony Edwards, who can go out there and guard the opposing team's best players. So you give KD your best defender, you give Devin Booker your second best defender, or your best defender, depending on how you're feeling. But you are going out there, you're playing these one-on-one matchups. KD again had a solid series so far, but if Bradley Beal or Devin Booker is not, one of those two is not thriving beside him, it's going to be a very tough team for them to beat. And again, I couldn't be happier for Minnesota. Obviously, that fan base is craving playoff success. They are craving playoff success, and I couldn't be happier for them. And an organization that needs something like that. They need these playoff wins. They want a deep playoff run. They want to compete. And from a fan base, from being even a Raiders fan, I understand the expectations you set for your team and not meeting those expectations and then finally getting there, right? And I'm still craving that feeling for the Raiders, right? I'm still trying to taste that feeling of success. And so, I know what it feels like to suffer a little bit as a fan, but again, I couldn't be happier for this team, and I'm hoping Anthony Edwards continues to dominate. And again, Minnesota Timberwolves in 6. And then we're going to get into the Milwaukee Bucks and Indiana Pacers series. And obviously, Dame Lillard had that remarkable game 1, and they blew Indiana out, right? A Indiana Pacers team that's very jump shot reliant, and the shots were just not falling. Pascal Siakam was the only, gray line of hope. Somebody who came out there and showed up, was ready to perform. He's been in the playoffs multiple times before. He knows what the atmosphere is like, especially playing that Milwaukee team. And he's been up there. He's been performing. And obviously, one of the biggest talks of discussion has got to be Tyrese Halliburton, right? I mean, he kind of got it going game 2. Game 1, obviously, Dame Lillard with that 34-point first half. And they kind of blew him out the water there. I mean, the team was hot, and then the fact that Indiana could not get anything going offensively. I mean, it was a pretty blowout, very smooth win for Milwaukee. But, I mean, this game 2, Indiana, they understand, again, they're a young team, but they understand that you can't go down 2-0 going back to home. So what did they do? They came out, Pascal Siakam gave you 37, I honestly, hold on, give me 1 second. 37, 11, and 6. My apologies, got my notes right here. 37, 11, and 6. He played phenomenal basketball yesterday. Dame again with another 34-point performance, but unfortunately, I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. At the end of the day, they could not stop this team at all. Every time they brought the game close, they went on a little run. Indiana answered back with an 8-0 run, 10-0 run, 12-2 run. They were out here dominating, and they just could not be stopped, right? And again, Tyrese Halliburton is definitely struggling right now. Obviously, game 1, he only took, I think, 6-7 shots, which is not something you want from your superstar PG. We understand he's a remarkable playmaker, remarkable passer, or a pass first point guard, but any true point guard knows when it's his time to go out there and get buckets and play and go take some big shots and help your team out. You got to go out there and do that. And he has not looked aggressive enough to score. I mean, yesterday he looked a little bit more aggressive, was getting to the basket, trying to get stuff in the paint, because the shot was not falling. But I mean, listen, Tyrese, again, 12-12, not a terrible performance, especially due to the fact Siakam had a remarkable game. But I would definitely like to see Tyrese get more active on the scoring side of things. You need a big-time player here. I mean, listen, this is a Milwaukee team without Giannis. We don't know when Giannis is coming back, right? Dame is trying to keep him afloat here. But no Giannis, so you've got to take advantage of the games you have without Giannis. You don't want Giannis to come back, and then you're in a tougher situation with Giannis being back in the game, because that's a totally another monster you have to deal with, right? Okay, so I would like to see him come back. You're going to be playing at home, game 3 at home. You're back in front of the home crowd. Go out here and go get aggressive. Go get some shots, right? We know this offense can, what this offense can do. I mean, the number 1 rated offense in the NBA, number 1 points in the paint, and then you obviously adding Pascal Siakam adds to all of that, right? Transition points, playing fast, all these things. But I need Tyrese Halliburton to step up. Obviously, we've known since the All-Star break, he's been on a very huge slump, okay? But we need him to step up. It's the playoffs, right? And I understand you're a young team, right? So there isn't huge expectations on your shoulders other than out there to go get what that playoff feel looks like, maybe win a couple games, maybe win a series, but at the end of the day, your superstar player, your number one player has to go out there and perform, and he has not been doing so. So we definitely need to see him step up, get that funky jump shot to start dropping, all right? Because yesterday, again, the offense was flowing, Milwaukee could not stop a nosebleed, but how much easier could this series be if you were getting it going on offense, right? And I'm not telling this guy to go out here and score 30 points a game, but just go out there, get more aggressive, get some easy buckets, Pascal Siakam with his playmaking ability, play off him, like Tyrese has been doing, right? Or at least been trying to do, right? So I would like to see him just get more aggressive again, because whenever Giannis comes back, if Giannis comes back this series, it could make it a whole lot harder when he comes back. Right? And then, obviously, I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Okay? This has been a great grueler of a series if you've not been paying attention to it, right? But, obviously, both teams playing phenomenal defense, right? Kyrie Irving has been really, really locked in this playoff series. He's been one of my standout guys so far. 50% from three, 26.5 points through the first two games. And now you're going back home to Dallas. You got one at home. You got a huge win at home with Kawhi coming back. On the road with Kawhi coming back. You beat a team with James Harden who's playing well, right? Kawhi Leonard looked off last night. Obviously, first game back with everything going on with his knee, right? Luka, 32, 9 and 6 a game through two games. He's been playing solid, and he hasn't been dominating, but he's been playing solid basketball, doing everything that he needs to. But I'm looking forward to this. This is a good series here. You got a very defensive series. Dallas playing defense. You got the Clippers, who are known for defense. A team who we question if they could get it going in the playoffs, and they have looked like the Clippers from the regular season that made that 30-game run where they only lost 5 games. They look like a legit contender. They look like a legit team, and when you have James Harden playing this well, he's not playing phenomenal, he's not playing remarkable, but he's playmaking, he's hitting shots when he needs to. And Paul George, again, another guy who's playing solid basketball. Last night, it was just unfortunate. Kawhi Leonard first came back, just the shots were not dropping. But again, you guys know how I feel about Kawhi Leonard. Playoff performer. His play elevates in the playoffs. I think he's a remarkable player. And when he's healthy and his shots are hitting, his two-way ability and his way to take over a game, the silent assassin. So I'm very excited for this series going forward. Obviously, they've got to win one on the road. The LA Clippers have got to win one on the road to go back to LA and make this a 2-2 series. I still got Dallas to come out here and win this series. I think they've got everything they need to go out here and win a Game 7 if it's in LA, right? With Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Just how Kyrie's been playing phenomenal, like I've been saying. Luka is just a guy who can take over a game and win you a game single-handedly, right? The first game, obviously, you benefited from that, just Luka and Kyrie, and Luka's shots specifically weren't falling, right? And the rest of the role cast, the supporting cast, was not hitting shots or even attempting a lot of shots, So game 2 is obviously a completely different story. You win a tight game, and I'm hoping. I'm still on the Dallas Mavericks wave. I'm still praying for Dallas to win this series. No disrespect to the Los Angeles Clippers. I feel like with all the past history that we've had of the Los Angeles Clippers, the James Harden meltdowns, the Kawhi Leonard injuries, the Paul George non-existent when you need him most, all these things still lie true. Paul George, his notable record in the playoffs has not shown up for the big game, has not shown up for these big playoff games. Kawhi Leonard is really the only guy who's consistently throughout his career shown you he's going to be there for those big games and he's going to perform those big games, right? So I think that's just a little too much weight on his shoulders, if you ask me. If you get this type of play from Paul George and James Harden the entire series on a consistent basis, the Clippers fans should be feeling very good about this series, especially with Game 7, the possibility of Game 7 being at home in LA. And then we got Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Orlando Magic. Cleveland went up 2-0. This has when I watch this series, I mean, it's kind of hard to watch it sometimes because it's been a very sloppy series, I mean, it's not like Cleveland's coming out here and dominating, shooting the ball very well. Donovan Mitchell's been struggling a little bit lately. He's not shooting crazy efficiency rate, But, I mean, listen, Orlando has the worst half-court offense in the playoffs this year up to date. It has not looked very good. Franz Wagner, again, his three-point shot has not been falling. Like they are allowing him to shoot that three ball, and they are not respecting it at all, So, it hurts because you had a high-seeded team. You had a lot of this, not expectation, but this talent, a very young team. Nobody has really taken the stride as a superstar player in the regular season, and now you're getting here and you're seeing that. You're not seeing one guy just put the team on his shoulders and compete in these games. And again, there's no need to. I've said this before. The Orlando Magic, a very young team. I have no expectations for them out here. If they get swept, so be it. They're one of the youngest teams in basketball. They have a very bright future. I would like to see them win a game. You're going to come back home, win a game, at least one, just for your good morale purposes, some good energy going forward and going on to next year. But I mean, one of the biggest shout-outs I want to give out to on this Cleveland Cavaliers team is Jarrett Allen. I mean, listen, 60% from the floor, field goal percentage from the floor, 16 and 7 a game, 2.5 blocks a game, 2.5 assists a game, and 3.5 blocks and steals a game. I mean, he's playing absolutely remarkable against Wendell Carter Jr. and this Orlando team who was giving up, top 5 in rebounds allowed to opposing centers, and this guy has gone out there and dominated, especially last year. Because when you look at Jarrett Allen last year, we heard the conversation. The lights were too bright in New York when we got to the playoffs. They were too bright. We weren't ready for the moment. And now Jarrett Allen is pulling up and playing elite. He's living in the moment. He's ready for it, right? And I know it's Orlando at the end of the day, and I know Cleveland has not looked great, specifically Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, right? But the other pieces have been playing solid. Isaac Okoro, a guy shooting 40% in 3 in 22 minutes a game. That's a guy you want to look for. I mean, he's been hitting his shots when they knock it out to him, swing it to him, and he's been making them pay. And then you have Evan Mobley, who's been making himself known offensively. So again, if you can get this Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland backcourt to start hooping like we all know they can, this could be a very scary team, because if the weakest part of their team right now is Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, I like them going forward because I have confidence in Donovan Mitchell to show up in the next series or, in these next couple games to close out the series. And I have high praise for Darius Garland. I think Darius Garland is an elite player, but he's got to show it. And now is his chance to do it. You're going to go on the road. You got to get some big wins to close out this series. So I'm looking forward for both of those teams. And then we're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks. I mean, this is a banger of a series. This series has lived up to the hype. You heard Tyrese Maxey talk about it. He said this is going to be one of the toughest series that could have possibly been in the first round in the East, right? I mean, Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knicks, the rivalry, both East Coast teams, they see each other a lot, typically get compared against one another. Okay, but listen, first things first, I mean, the Jalen Brunson struggles, right? You were able to win 2 games. with Jalen Brunson struggling like this because the core pieces around you have really stepped up and performed. I mean, Jalen Brunson, 29% field goal percentage, 16.7 3-point percentage, 23 points per game. I mean, he has not been the regular season Jalen Brunson that we all thought so highly of. But if there was one person or a person I had to put faith and was confident in they were going to pick it up and come through, it's Jalen Brunson. He's done it multiple times in the playoffs already. One run with Dallas, and then last year with the Knicks, he was performing, he was hooping, he won him a series, and I expect him to do the same thing this year. You're going up 2-0, you're going back to Philly, and the New York Knicks are not a pushover team. They are locked in defensively. They play to the very last whistle. They play until the clock hits triple zeros, right? And this just goes to how they even won game 2. I mean, listen, you're down what, 4? If I recall correctly, you're down 4. You go out there, Kyle Lowry hits a couple free throws, you foul him, you come back, Jalen Brunson gets a lucky 3, you come back, Tyrese Maxey draws to the floor. They're not calling whistles like that anymore, and I love to see it. Josh Hart goes out there, gets the steal, kicks it out. Dante DiVincenzo for three. He misses. Offensive rebound, kicks it back out. Jalen Brunson misses. Offensive rebound, kicks it back out again. And Dante DiVincenzo hits the shot of a lifetime and sends them up. And they end up closing this game, I mean, in remarkable fashion. But one thing I do want to talk about throughout this entire last 30 seconds of this game was the entire fact that Joel Embiid watched this entire offensive rebound, kick out happened. He was just sitting there in the paint. He was not moving. He was not active. I mean, listen, he let Isaiah Hartenstein get 2 boards off him. It was just, he just was watching everything happen. And I don't know if it's because of his knee, if it's because he doesn't feel like he can go out there and go a contest for those rebounds or whatever. But he has got to show some effort, show some life. Because for me, effort is everything, right? Effort is what gets you wins and close out games like the Knicks just did. It wasn't a beautiful win. Jalen Brunson, your best player, has not been playing great basketball, but you're up 2-0 going back to Philly, and it's not really a road trip. You're going down the street. So I have very high hopes for this Knicks team. It's been great defensive-minded basketball. I mean, listen, Miles McBride, 50% from three this series, 15 points per game. He had a remarkable game one. I mean, really helped lift this team up off the bench. And then you have Josh Hart. I mean, 53% from three, 14 rebounds, 21.5 points per game as a guard. I mean, this guy has been playing remarkable basketball. People were talking about him on Twitter. Like, Josh Hart, I didn't know your game, but he's been playing phenomenal basketball. He's been really, him, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, the Villanova boys have really been locking in. And all this, you're up 2-0. Your role players have elevated their games to make up for the fact Jalen Brunson is not playing at that All-NBA level, So this is great for New York Knicks going forward. You won both games at home, so now you have a little bit breathing room, right? Obviously, you want to go out here and close the door as quick as possible, especially with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Because again, Tyrese Maxey's been playing phenomenal basketball this entire series. I mean, 34 points per game, 40% from three, 7 assists, playing remarkable basketball, right? And then you look at Joel Embiid. I know Joel Embiid's numbers scream 31.5 points per game, but 39% from the field, 23% from three, and I mean, he has not been as efficient as we've seen him be. And I understand playoff basketball, you're playing the New York Knicks, defensive really locking in. You're not going to get as many open looks as you do in the regular season. They're going to start showing you a lot of attention, a lot of bodies, but you've got to play better. And I understand knee injury, you've seen him a couple times. He gets knocked down, he's grimacing on the way up, and I respect him playing through a little bit of pain, but you've got to play better. I mean, you've got to be more efficient, and I get it. Joel Embiid, take those shots. You're an MVP. You're one of the best players in the league, one of the best big men in basketball. Go out there, put up your shots. We're going to ride with your shots. We're going to die with your shots, right? So I understand the reason for him getting those shots, putting those shots up, but you've got to be more efficient. And I understand you have a knee injury. You missed a lot of time. You don't look 100% clearly as the film shows. We're watching the same basketball you're playing. We see what's going on. So again, I mean, I hope this series continues to be a banger series. I still had the Knicks in 5, right? That was my initial prediction. Knicks in 5 or Knicks in 6? I'd pick Knicks in 5. So hoping that prediction still stays true. Obviously, big series from Tyrese Maxey. He's proving that he can perform in the playoffs. Joel Embiid, I would like to see you be a little more efficient, but again, I'm not going to blame you for having a knee injury, right? We know your playoff injury history, but so it sucks. I mean, at some point, you just got to grind it out. If you're injured every year in the playoffs, you just got to grind it out. There's no more excuses at this point. So I'm looking forward to that series going forward. And the final series of discussion is Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Again, you got your first playoff win with this young franchise. I mean, again, you're up 1-0. You're going to play again tonight at home. You took advantage of New Orleans Pelicans not shooting very good from three a couple of days ago, right? But one of the biggest issues for concern, right, was the offensive rebounding for the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, listen, 18 offensive rebounds allowed for New Orleans Pelicans last night, which kept them into the game. The only reason it was a 2-point game was because of those offensive rebounds, right? And more opportunities for them to try to score. Were they hitting the shots? No. But if you're doing that to a team like Boston, like Minnesota, like Denver, it's not going to be a good look for you. You could really get blown out of the water here if you allow good teams like that to take advantage of you. And right now, New Orleans without Zion, they're missing a huge key piece of their offense, right? It's the BI and CJ McCollum show right now. Again, a possible Zion return. It's been on the discussion. People have talked about it. Depends how the length of the series really goes and how the Pelicans continue to play, because if they're down 0-3 and he gets the green light, I don't know if he's going to go in that game, looking at a possible sweep. But, SGA, 28, 6-4. Chet, 15-11, 5 blocks. J-Dub, 19, 7-4. The main three guys, your big three, have been played great basketball through game one. I would like to see them continue playing at this rate. Lou Dort still hitting his threes. Hit 2 threes the other night, 50% clip. I like this team, man. I really, really, really do. They just carried all the momentum from the regular season into the postseason. And again, there is some concerns for the Oklahoma City Thunder, with the size disadvantage you have against the better teams, the lack of rebounding that you have, just your size, Chet Holmgren not being a traditional big, he's a floor spacer. He's not going to be a big bully ball, he's not going to be playing bully ball down low. So there are questions to this team, things that you're going to have to, looks like can be concerns if you make a deep run. But at the end of the day, again, like I said before, the Oklahoma City Thunder are so young that it just truly does not matter. If they go out here and win one series and get swept in the next round, nobody cares. They're not going to care because they're so damn young. They're like the Orlando Magic. They blew past their expectations. They were not supposed to be this good, this fast. They're supposed to take strides in the right direction, but everybody was better than expected. So their team was just so damn good, right? So I would like to see, again, OKC continue to perform, whether the series goes to 7-6, whatever. I got OKC winning it. Now, we're going to talk about a little bit about the NFL. Before we get into the NFL draft, obviously, we've got to talk about the NFL. A couple huge moves that happened today that I wanted to discuss. Obviously, alongside Penei Sewell, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, the offensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. Just got a 4-year, $112 million extension, $85 million guaranteed, highest paid offensive tackle in the league. And ever since he came into the league, he's been seen as one of the best offensive tackles in football, alongside Trent Williams, which is great area, case to be in, alongside a future Hall of Fame tackle in Trent Williams, right? He's in that discussion as one of the best tackles in football. So this is great for Detroit. It's showing that they're locking in these key pieces, right? You're locking in your left tackle, which is one of the most important positions in football. You're locking in your receiver, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Amon-Ra St. Brown, highest paid wide receiver today. To this day, at this current moment, the highest paid receiver in the NFL, 4-year extension, $120 million, $77 million guaranteed, right? And this is well-deserved. Again, like I said about Penei Sewell, you are locking in your main key core pieces, right? And Amon-Ra St. Brown deserves that extension, right? 2-time 1,100-yard plus seasons, 1-time Pro Bowler last year where he had 1,500 yards, 119 receptions, and 10 touchdowns. Listen, I was saying this when he was coming out of USC, right? I said he was one of the best receivers in his draft class. I watched every single one of his games at USC since he came as a true freshman. I said he was this good in college. I said he was going to be a great player for whoever he lands for, and they got him in the 4th round, which is an absolute steal, right? Because I was watching Pat McAfee talk about how you see some of these receivers get overlooked when you get to college, or you coming out of the draft. Some of these players get overlooked by a guy like Justin Jefferson, like a guy like Ja'Marr Chase. These guys who are freakishly fast, freakishly athletic, and they just run straight up the draft boards. And again, granted, great players. Ja'Marr Chase, all-pro type receiver. Justin Jefferson, all-pro receiver. So these guys are elite level talents. Don't get me wrong. They earn the respect for where they got drafted. They earned the money they will get in their future extensions. They earned being in that top 5, top 3 to wide receiver discussion. Okay, but what Amon-Ra St. Brown has done for this Lions team is just remarkable. He's reliant. You can give him the ball on third downs when you need a big time play. He's gonna come down with it. He's become your Cooper Kupp's guy. The guy who's gonna come out here and you can kind of throw him the ball any down. You want to throw him a screen and let him do something in space, he can do it. You want to see him catch a contested catch, he can do it. He's got great hands, doesn't drop the ball much, great route runner, right? And he just comes down with everything, really. I mean, just so trustworthy. I trust him going up against anybody. He's one of my favorite receivers to watch in the NFL up to date. Right. And this just shows that the Detroit Lions are really locking in here, right? Literally locking into their core, getting these young guys for the long term, which is great to see. This Detroit Lions team is taking strides to get back to that Super Bowl, make it to a Super Bowl, and get back to the NFC Championship and redeem themselves, right? And then obviously all the questions start to lie. You see on Twitter, Pat McAfee talks about it as well. Jared Goff, is there an extension coming soon? And as of right now, from what I'm hearing, there is no talks about a Jared Goff discussion. There's no deal. I wouldn't say no talks, but there is nothing in place. There's nothing, in writing. It's not really a discussion for Jared Goff right now. It's kind of a prove it year for him, which is, it's understanding, right? You went from a 8-win team to a NFC Championship team, so now you've kind of got to run it back and do it again, right? Jared Goff had a bit of struggles this year, where he struggled against the pressure for a couple weeks, and the Detroit Lions team kind of just didn't look so good, right, for about a month stretch. But they picked it up, and he got hot when he needed to, which is in the playoffs, right? He performed solid in the playoffs, he performed well in the playoffs, obviously winning 2 games, right? So, do I think Jared Goff can be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I think so. I think he's more than capable of winning a Super Bowl if you put him in a team that's very good, built around him, the weapons around him, the defense, two good running backs like you already have, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. You have a good receiver, Sam Laporta, rookie tight end. You've got all these key pieces. You've got a DN, Aiden Hutchinson, and so I'd like to see them, again, continue to build that defense, build that secondary, get another edge rusher alongside Aiden Hutchinson, and just continue taking good steps in the right direction. And I'm excited for this team. Again, I'm a huge Big Barry Sanders fan, my favorite running back of all time, the greatest running back of all time. So I support Detroit, especially a team that's been no good for such a long time, right? So it's good. It's good to see teams turn it around like that. Again, I wish all teams could do like this, but obviously it doesn't all happen like that, right? With ownership, coaching, players, and things like that. But I'm excited for the Detroit Lions going forward. And then the last thing I'm going to get into is obviously Ja'Marr Chase picks up his 5th-year option for a $21.5 million contract. So you lock him in for that year 5, getting paid. Basically, this is like a franchise tag, right? You're giving him his 5th-year option. You want to lock him in for a 5th year where he's going to be making $21 million, which is Devontae Adams type money, So that's respectable money, and then you're still going to work on this long-term extension because at the end of the day, these guys are playing chicken. CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, these guys are all playing chicken here. They're all waiting to see who's going to, get paid first, right? And now that Amon-Ra St. Brown set the market, I will expect a lot of these guys to get paid very, very soon. CeeDee Lamb, Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, these guys are going to be getting paid very, very soon. So yeah, hopefully they can get a deal done because obviously Ja'Marr Chase is very valuable to this team. They're going to get a deal done because we all know T. Higgins is not going to be around much longer. So it's good to see going forward that you locked in your guy for the 5th year, right? So here we are. The NFL draft is tomorrow, like I've been saying already, right? And now you get into this situation where all you see is mock drafts. All you see are these teams and players and websites and social media talk about hypothetical trades moving up and down, teams moving and trading for quarterbacks and making moves. And I just want to talk about it, right? Because I've heard a lot of stuff, specifically today. Pat McAfee, another guy on his stuff lately, listening to his stuff earlier, seeing a lot of his stuff on Twitter. Adam Schefter stated that there will be less than 10 trades in the first round in this upcoming draft, which, right, seems like that's a crazy number of drafts, So all these teams who we thought about, like the Jaden Daniels, the Raiders moving up for Jaden Daniels, the Minnesota Vikings moving up, their teams moving around and things like that. So what does that mean? What are we expecting going into tomorrow, right? And obviously the ideal number right now is about 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. I've heard 6, I've heard 5, You've got obviously Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. You've got Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, and I've seen some mock drafts where Bo Nix goes early in the second round. I've seen some where he goes in the first round to Denver, right? We've heard about that. So it's very up in the air. 5 to 6 quarterbacks possibly going in the first round. Again, and I just wanted to discuss, I pulled up one of these mock drafts. PFF does a great job of doing mock drafts. And how it works basically is they got their mock drafts, they got their teams, got their picks and needs, and each analyst does their own team. So you have one analyst doing the Raiders, one analyst doing the Niners, and so that way it's not one person picking kind of on biasness and preference. It's based on what's available, what other teams need, what they need, so it's a very good way they do their mock drafts. It's not one person doing all of them where it's like, well, I think they should do this. But in this sense, you have 32 different analysts all working off one another's picks, right? And I think it's the best way to do it because that's how it is on draft day. You have a guy get drafted earlier than you thought, so now you got to adjust your draft boards and adjust your prospects and things like that. But the first round, right, and NFL mock draft I got is first overall pick, obviously, is going to be Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams going number 1 to the Chicago Bears. And then I got undisputed number 1. We got Drake May going number 2 to the Washington Commanders, which I think is a great pickup, right? Obviously a great pickup. It's, I'm okay with Washington taking Drake May. I'm not a big fan of Drake May, is basically what I'm saying there. But this is where some of these things got interesting, right? Because this was made about 2 days ago. So this is the newest mock draft they have. And number 3, you have the Denver Broncos trading up for Jaden Daniels, right? Which I thought was very, very interesting because, the team, the New England Patriots, a team who wants to trade down, they've said it. They will wait for their quarterback next year. They want to build around for their quarterback of the future. So it makes sense, right? Denver is in need of a quarterback. The Raiders are in need of a quarterback. The Vikings in need of a quarterback. So what does this mean for us going forward, right? The Denver Broncos possibly selecting Jaden Daniels. That would be very interesting. They had the dead cap issues. So I think trading up and with a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract, it kind of helps, right? It helps deal with all that dead cap stuff you're dealing with the Russell Wilson stuff. Okay. Number 4, Marvin Harrison Jr. to Arizona Cardinals. Again, number 1 receiver in the draft. Number 5, you got Malik Neighbors going to the Los Angeles Chargers. They will not trade down. They're going to go get Malik Neighbors and refill that wide receiver core position. Even though we did hear the discussion possibility of the Chargers trading down, getting multiple draft picks, as many as possible, to build this team as best they can with the most picks possible, right? Number 6, Roman Odunze goes to the New York Giants. So boom, that's one team that you thought quarterback, right? We know they have Daniel Jones. We know they have Drew Lock there, who's just another guy, but he's still there, right? Roman Odunze, you add to that wide receiver room. You lost A.J. Brown. Treylon Burke has not really turned out to be as good as you have. You have DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, right? So now if you add Rome Odunze into that team, 3 good wide receivers for, I can't even think of his name. Will Levis. Will Levis. I'm sorry, Will. But for Will Levis, that's the truth. That's the true test to see if Will Levis is the truth. And if Will Levis at the end of the day is not a good quarterback, you can go into this next offseason. You'll have 3 good wide receivers. Dak Prescott's going to hit the market. You have Shedeur Sanders or, these quarterbacks coming up in the next draft. So, you'll have quarterback options going into the next year, specifically Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? So, again, number 7, you got Joe Alt going to the Tennessee Titans. Excuse me, I just completely jinxed. I did not mean, okay. Listen, I trolled. That's on me. I trolled. Rome Odunze goes to the New York Giants, and I completely just misread the teams. Rome Odunze goes to the New York Giants, right? Adds to that receiving core that's basically non-existent, gives Daniel Jones another weapon. You give Daniel Jones another chance with another good receiver. You're already paying him for this year, so might as well give him another run, right? Number 7, Joe Walt to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee, you got 2 receivers in DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. You just picked up Tony Pollard. So now you add to that offensive line, give yourself a good tackle to protect Will Levis. Number 8, Latu. The DN from UCLA going to, not the DN from UCLA. Yeah, I think that was the DN from UCLA. My apologies. Going to the Atlanta Falcons, right? And this is where things get interesting. All right, this is where things get interesting. For the number 9 pick, you have the Las Vegas Raiders trading up to go get J.J. McCarthy, right? And this is one of those picks, right, where I'm sitting here and do I love J.J. McCarthy? No. Do I think he should be drafted in the first 5 picks? No. Was Minnesota a team that's supposed to go trade up and get him? Yes. But, it's just not sure. I'm just not sure. If this was hypothetically how it turned out, I'd be happy we got a quarterback. I think I would have preferred to get Michael Penix over J.J. McCarthy. That's just a personal preference. But you get yourself a quarterback. You give yourself a chance. You still have your bridge guy in Gardner Minshew. You can let him sit for a little bit. And then number 10, you got Brock Bowers going to the New York Jets, right? Again, generational talent to a good team. You get a upgrade in tight end. You have all these weapons already. Number 11, Terrion Arnold to the Minnesota Vikings. You add to that secondary and add to that defense, who's been playing very, very good. And then here's where things get even more interesting. Number 12, Michael Penix Jr. to the New England Patriots. Imagine if that was the case. Imagine if Michael Penix Jr. went to New England. So New England was able to get a quarterback in this year's draft, and you get some draft picks from trading down. That could be actually very, very good hypothetical situation. And then you have Chicago at 13 picking up Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU at wide receiver. You add to your receiving core. 14, the Saints go Funga. I don't even know how to say his first name. I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Tackle. 15, Quinion Mitchell from Toledo. That's a great pickup, I think, for Detroit, right? Detroit, again, is another team. They need to build that secondary, and I'm very high on Quinion Mitchell. 16, Dallas Turner goes to the Seattle Seahawks, and you add yourself to that defensive line that needs it, right? That defense needs additions, okay? And then for the rest of the hypothetical draft, right? I'm not going to continue to go out here and read through the entire mock draft because you guys have seen this so many times. But I really wanted to get through the first, 16 I went through right there because you talk about the these are situations that I haven't heard of. Me specifically, J.J. McCarthy to the Raiders. You heard it earlier in the year, but now all it's been talked about is the Minnesota Vikings. Jaden Daniels to the Denver Broncos. Could you imagine if they traded up and sold their soul to get Jaden Daniels? I think this has a little bit more of a twist. I thought it was interesting to talk about. It just leaves you open to the possibility that anything can happen on draft day. You never know what's going to happen. And then Michael Penix Jr. ends up a New England Patriot. And then you also, you get a quarterback. You get draft capital from trading up the number 3 pick. And you go with the quarterback who could have even fell even further. And Bo Nix, just for you guys who want to know, in this mock draft, ended up going 33. Who did he go to? Honestly, I don't even remember who he went to. Let me looking through the paperwork. To the New York Giants. He ends up going early second round to the New York Giants after the Denver Broncos trade up for Jaden Daniels, which again, and then if you look at the New York Giants, you have a quarterback, you have Daniel Jones, who could be a bridge guy on his last year of his guaranteed money in that contract, and then you also get Rome Odunze, So there's some interesting things to think about, going forward. And for tomorrow, because I'm obviously very juiced. But let me know what y'all think about that, about Jaden Daniels possibly being Denver Bronco, about the New England Patriots getting Michael Penix Jr. and draft capital, about the New York Giants getting Rome Odunze and Bo Nix. What do we think about that stuff? Some of the stuff is very interesting, obviously. And it's going to be great to see how it all turns out. So, let's go Raiders. I hope we draft Michael Penix or Jaden Daniels. Obviously, those are my 2 favorite quarterbacks. I've been saying that for a very, very long time. But Hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all enjoying the NBA playoffs as much as I am. Let me know how y'all team's doing. I know every time the Lakers lose or something bad, crazy happens, I'm getting texts. People talking trash to me about it. So it is what it is. I'm having a good time though. A lot of great basketball. And let me know how y'all feeling about the NFL draft. It's tomorrow. Obviously, who do y'all want your team to get? Who's do y'all think should be y'all main priority going up? And let me know what pick your team has. Who your team is, If you're a San Francisco 49er fan, don't even bother commenting down below. Sorry, bro. Just not gonna read it. So I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with you. I'm gonna read it, but I'm not gonna, it is what it is. But with that being said, hopefully y'all enjoyed. I appreciate everyone's been showing support again. I'm going to continue to say this because I'm just grateful for everyone who supported me. Make sure that if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you follow the show, like the show, give it a 5-star rating. Stay tuned with us on Twitter. I can put my Twitter link in the description below, as I always do. Link to my second channel, Young Rich Talk Sports, in the description below. Go tap that if you want to go see some more specific videos detailed on based on y'all requests. And with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. We already hit 1K. Road to 5K starts now. See ya.